out a fire. In this video, we'll teach you how to properly use a fire extinguisher using the PASS method. When fire strikes at your workplace, be sure to follow these 3 steps. Step 1. Check to make sure the fire extinguisher you have on hand is the correct type of extinguisher to extinguish the type of fire. Type A is used for ordinary combustibles such as wood and paper. Type B extinguishers are used on flammable liquids like gasoline and oil. Type C is for electrical fire, so they can be used on faulty outlets and appliances. Type D is used on flammable metals such as magnesium and titanium. And Class K extinguishers are used when fires involve cooking media, fats, grease, and oils. All commercial cooking sites such as restaurants need this extinguisher. If you don't feel you can safely put out the fire, exit the building immediately. Step 2. With the extinguisher in hand, step 6 to 8 feet away from the fire. Step 3. Use the PASS method to put out the fire. P. Pull the pin so that you're able to discharge the extinguisher. A. Aim the extinguisher nozzle at the base of the fire. S. Squeeze the lever to discharge the extinguishing agent. Releasing the lever will stop the discharge. S. Sweep. Pointing the extinguisher at the base of the fire, move the extinguisher from left to right or back and forth in a sweeping motion until the fire is out. When the fire is out, continue to watch the fire to ensure the fire does not ignite once again. If the fire comes back, repeat the PASS method. Recap: P. Pull the pin. A. Aim. S. Squeeze. And S. Sweep. Remember, fires can be harmful and fatal, so do not put the fire out yourself unless it's safe to do so.
A fire can spread in 3 different ways if there's enough fuel and oxygen to keep it going. It will spread through conduction, convection, or radiation, but fires are often spread by a combination of all 3. Conduction is when heat moves through material and objects. Heat travels from the hot end of an object to the cooler end. This is also how one object can heat up another one by touching it. We experience heat transfer through conduction all the time. For example, if I hold a hot mug of tea, the heat transfers from the mug to my hands. Most metals are good conductors of heat, so fires can easily spread from room to room through things like metal pipes or staircase handrails. To see if heat from a fire is being conducted, you can touch a door with the back of your hand. If it's hot, it means the fire is on the other side, so keep the door closed. Fire doors delay the transfer of heat, smoke, and fire for at least 30 minutes, so keep them closed. The materials that are used to make fire doors are especially chosen because they are poor conductors of heat. Radiation is when heat transfers from one object to another through an empty space. It doesn't need anything to travel through. For example, this candle will radiate heat to anything immediately surrounding it. So when I put my palm next to the flame will radiate heat and warm up my hand. Heat from a fire can be radiated through windows and doors to adjacent buildings, which will ignite any combustible materials, and it can cause a fire to spread from building to building very quickly, because substances such as glass have very little resistance to radiated heat. This is why it's vital that fire doors are kept closed, or only opened briefly if you're using them as part of your escape route, because they will delay the spread of heat, smoke, and fire. Convection is when heat from liquids and gases is transferred from hot areas to cooler areas. When liquids and gases are heated, they expand, become lighter, and rise. If we take a look at my cup of tea, the steam you can see is a good example. As the steam rises from the tea, it shows the heat transferring from the hot liquid and into the cooler air above it. When a fire spreads through convection, the heated air rises and creates convection currents, which is when the hot air transfers into the cooler air and heats it up. This process feeds the fire more oxygen and it continues to grow. Carbon dioxide extinguishers have a black panel round them. They remove oxygen from a fire by smothering the flames, and they can be used on either Class B fires or electrical equipment.
To use the extinguisher, you need to position the discharge horn and then pull off the safety tag to break the seal. Make sure you don't touch the extinguisher horn once you start discharging the extinguisher, even if it's a frost-free horn, because you'll risk getting ice burns. Pull out the pin and test that the extinguisher works by pointing it away from the fire. Then squeeze the handle until the extinguishing agent comes out. Then aim the horn at the base of the fire and squeeze the handle as you walk towards the flames. Once the flames are out, step back and keep discharging the extinguisher until you're a safe distance away. These extinguishers have a range of about 1 to 1.5 meters and will last for a minimum of 11 seconds.
Do not use carbon dioxide extinguishers on Class A fires because it can cause a fire to spread. And don't use them in confined spaces because there is a risk of asphyxiation if you inhale too much of the gas. Dry powder extinguishers have a blue panel around them. They remove oxygen from a fire by smothering the flames. They're a good all-rounder, so you can use them to extinguish Class A, B and C fires. It can be possible to use them on electrical fires and on Class D fires if you have a specific powder.
To use the extinguisher, you need to pull off the safety tag to break the seal. Pull out the pin. Test that it works by pointing it away from the fire and squeeze the handle until the extinguishing agent comes out. Then you need to aim the nozzle at the base of the fire and squeeze the handle. You should use rapid sweeping motions to force the flames to the far edge until all the flames are out. These extinguishers have a range of about 8 meters on average.
It's important that you don't use dry powder extinguishers in confined spaces because you'll risk breathing in the powder. Foam spray or aqueous film-forming foam extinguishers, known as AFFF, have a cream panel. They remove the oxygen from a fire by smothering it, and they can be used on Class A or Class B fires.
To use the extinguisher, you need to pull off the safety tag to break the seal. Then pull out the pin and test that it works by pointing it away from the fire. Make sure you squeeze the handle until the extinguishing agent comes out. It's important you know that foam spray extinguishers are used in slightly different ways depending on the class of fire you're tackling. If you're using this extinguisher on a Class A fire, you need to aim the jet at the base of the fire. Squeeze the handle and keep moving the jet of foam across the fire. However, if you're using this extinguisher on a Class B fire, make sure you don't aim the jet directly at the liquid. You need to aim the jet at an edge if it's in a container or at a nearby surface so the foam can flow across and extinguish the fire. The nozzle on the extinguisher can either be a jet or a spray, and it'll last for between 35 seconds and a minute. Foam spray extinguishers have a range of about 4 to 5 meters.
Never use foam spray extinguishers on Class C or Class F fires or on live electrical equipment. Water extinguishers are solid red. They remove heat from a fire and they should only be used on Class A fires.
To use the extinguisher, you need to pull off the safety tag to break the seal. Then pull out the pin. Next, test the extinguisher works by pointing it away from the fire. Make sure to squeeze the handle until the extinguishing agent comes out. Then aim the jet at the base of the fire. Squeeze the handle and keep moving the jet of water across the fire until it's extinguished. You should also aim for any hot spots after you've put the main fire out. Water extinguishers have a range of about 4 to 5 meters and they normally run out within 60 to 75 seconds, but this can depend on the size of the extinguisher and the shape of the nozzle.
Never use water extinguishers on Class B fires because it will make the fire spread. And don't use water extinguishers on or near electrical equipment because you may get electrocuted. Wet chemical extinguishers have a yellow panel, and they're the only extinguisher which can be used on Class F fires, so you'll normally find them in large kitchens or anywhere deep fat fryers are used. They produce a barrier between the oxygen and the fuel, and the water content in the extinguishing agent reduces the heat.
To use the extinguisher, you need to pull off the safety tag to break the seal. Then pull out the pin. And test that the extinguisher works by pointing it away from the fire. Make sure you squeeze the handle until the extinguishing agent comes out. Then you need to aim the lance directly at the fire and sweep the extinguishing agent across the fire using slow circular movements until the flames are extinguished.
Make sure the fat has cooled before you attempt to take further action.